This will be the first of several videos covering mutual TLS. So TLS stands for Transport Layer Security, and it's a cryptographic protocol that provides privacy and security between two applications, such as a client and a server, such as a website and a web browser. So in ordinary non-mutual TLS, the client authenticates the server, but the server does not authenticate the client. So most websites that you go to use regular TLS. So the client, the web browser, knows that it's talking to the correct server, such as a bank website, but the server doesn't know that much about the client. So the web applications need to use another client authentication methods, such as passwords, cookies, etc. So mutual TLS is a way to authenticate both the client and the server. And mutual TLS is used in many applications such as VPNs, service meshes, microservices, and others. For example, my company, Fleet Device Management, many of our customers use mTLS as basically an additional level of security to authenticate between our fleet server and our fleet agent. Our fleet agent is a small program that runs on each device, such as a corporate laptop. It collects security telemetry and sends it back to the server. So that connection between the server and the laptop uses mTLS. So how does mTLS work? So TLS is a pretty complex protocol. It has multiple versions such as 1.2, 1.3, which are pretty widely used, and they work a little bit differently. So for this example, we will basically go over the basics without going into too much detail. So this is a diagram that has the steps. So first, the client will initiate this TLS handshake by sending a client hello message to the server. The server will send a server hello message back and also its certificate. And because we're talking about mutual TLS, these steps, this is an extra step where the server requests the client for the certificate. And I believe the server will actually send the certificate authority that it has for authenticating the client. So basically at this point, the client has the server certificate, and it knows that it needs to send its own certificate back to the server. Now, because the client has the server certificate, the client can start encrypting its messages back to the server using the server certificate, right? And this is asymmetric encryption. So the client can encrypt using the public key that it got from the certificate, and then the server will decrypt using its own private key, which is hidden from anyone else. So the client will send its certificate. The client will send the session key. I believe this is nomenclature is different, but basically this is eventually going to end up being the symmetric key that's used later on in the process. The client will also send a digital signature. So this is where the client uses its client's private key to encrypt and create this digital signature, right? The client will encrypt using its own key, and the server, using the client certificate, will decrypt this. So basically, there's a series of encryption and decryption between the client and server, and when we get to this point, both of these effectively verified each other's identity, and they've agreed on a shared session key, And from then on, they can send messages back to each other. All right, so let's go on to a real example of actually running this code. So first, we will generate the certificates. And this is a bash script that we'll use to generate the certificates, and we will use the OpenSSL command line tool, which is very popular for TLS protocols. So just briefly to go over this file, I also will not get into too much details about the options for all of these. So we're generating basically certificate authorities that will be used to verify the certificates, and then the client and server will have its own certificates and private keys. So first thing, we actually generate the actual keys for the certificate authorities. I know this is a little bit confusing because there's multiple keys. So these keys for the certificate authorities are only used to sign the actual certificates for the client and server. So we generate the keys, then we generate the actual certificate authority certificates for client and server. Now, both of these could be the same. Basically, the server and the client could use the same certificate authority, but for this example, we use separate ones. This step, we generate a certificate signing request, which will then we pass on to the next step. And this step generates the certificates and the keys that we need, right? So it will generate, it will take the certificate authority and the certificate authority key, and it will generate the server certificate. And the key was generated over here in the previous step. So we have the server, for example, we got the server certificate and the server private key. This additional file is needed for the server because one of the steps in the TLS handshake is to verify that the server is using the correct host name. So basically this extra file specifies the host name that we use. In this case, we will use localhost. All right, so for the, let's go and actually run this. I'm in the right directory. I got this file here, gen certs. So let's run it. And when you generate certificates, it asks you for information for the certificate, but this is an example. We will just use the default. So I'm just keep pressing enter for all of these. And we got the certificates in the cert directory over here. We got a bunch of these files, right? Okay, so we generate the certificate. So next thing is we'll actually start up a server. So we will use nginx, which is a popular open source web server, and we will use Docker to start it up. So let's go back and look at our Docker compose file, right? We will actually start up two servers. One will just use regular TLS and one will use mutual TLS, and they'll be hosted on different ports. So regular TLS, obviously it needs to have a server certificate and a server key. And notice that it really doesn't need anything else, right? Because the certificate authority that is used to verify, this is the client's responsibility. So the client needs to have the certificate authority. The server doesn't need it. Meanwhile, for the mTLS case, the server needs to know the certificate authority that was used to generate the client certificate. And so we pass it here. Okay, so let's look at the configuration files for each one. So first, the regular file. We are using TLS here. And we pass in we tell it where its certificate and key is. Let's look at the mTLS scenario. So we also have the certificate key, and in addition, we enable mTLS, specifying the CA, certificate authority, and basically enabling it. And what we're going to serve here is some simple hello world files. The TLS example just says TLS hello world. The mTLS example says mTLS hello world. And I think at this point we're ready to launch the servers. So we go back to our shell and we run docker compose up. Okay, and now we have 2 servers running. And we will use curl as our client. So first, let's connect to our regular TLS server. So we'll use this command. Our regular server is actually on 888, and we tell it the certificate authority for the server, right? So we generated our own certificates, so they're not in the system store. So that's why we need to specify where that certificate authority is. So let's run it. It worked, and we see that the regular TLS server logged the message. Now, one thing to note about TLS is it is possible for us to establish an insecure connection because it's the client's responsibility to verify that the server is who says that they are. So you could pass insecure option to connect. But the more interesting case is the mutual TLS. So let's connect to the mutual TLS, which is on port 8889 in our example. So here's the command, a bit more complicated, right? We also, take the server certificate. But now, for the handshake, we need the client certificate and key. So let's connect to our mTLS server. And there we go, we connected to mTLS. Now, just for the sake of example, let's remove the key and the cert and try to connect. There we go. And we get the error, right? No, the server requested a certificate and this wasn't sent. What if we say, okay, well, maybe we need to pass insecure? Well, that's not going to work either, right? Because this is mutual TLS. So the client has to send a certificate to the server, and the server will refuse the connection if it's expecting mTLS. Okay, so next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna create our own mTLS client using the Go programming language. And we will go ahead and cover that in the next video.